A potentially major development in Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign tonight. The Florida governor canceling appearances on both CNN's State of the Union and NBC's Meet the Press tomorrow morning, right before the New Hampshire primary. At the same time, we are told, we should note, he is adding an event tomorrow in New Hampshire. Joining us now to discuss, CNN political commentator Ana Navarro and journalist and former Fox News host Geraldo Rivera. Guys, great to see both of you. Ana, what do you think?
You too, Jim.
Look, I don't know if it's today, tomorrow, next week, or the following week, but obviously the man has run out of steam, out of options, out of money, out of a path. He has run out of runway. And so he simply has no path forward. He's got to somehow rehab his image a little bit, because he's got to come back to Florida and be governor here for 3 more years. He's got a legislative session going on right now in Tallahassee. So I think it gives him a little bit of a way of easing back, because he's got to come back to Florida and be governor. Not that I want that, but that's what's happening.
Yeah, Geraldo, it's never a good sign when you're canceling Sunday show appearances right before a big primary like New Hampshire.
Really a very coveted slide. Everybody wants that, especially before the big primary. He has run a terrible campaign, boring, lackluster. He's one of those guys, the more you see him, the less you like him. He's not emphasized his strong suit. To me, has always been his wonderful family and his military service. Instead, he's been on these social issues that really just screech like fingernails on blackboard. You know, they say he's, Wall Street Journal dumped him a couple of days ago, said he had no clear path, as Ana suggests. You know, so
yeah, and he said he
wasn't better.
He should have done more than just Fox News, Geraldo. Not to interject, but he said he made a mistake. Well,
I agree with that assessment. I think he did. He could have been more gregarious, more you know, the common man. Look at me, my military service. Look at my wonderful kids, my wife, the service that we provided to Florida, the booming you know, boom town now. Instead, he got all surly and combative, and you know, every question is a you know, a debate. You know, better late than never.
Yeah, Ana, I mean, go ahead.
Part of the reason he could only go on Fox News is because from ab initio of this campaign, from the very beginning, he decided to manufacture and wage these social culture wars. And frankly, the only place where he would be applauded and where he could go tout those stupid manufactured wars, the only place where he could go tout being at war with Disney and at war with drag queens and at war with diversity, equity, and inclusion and at war with ESG and at war with AP Black History and at war with books in favor for banning books. And it's Fox News. He could not go somewhere else. It wasn't until he shifted his campaign when that failed miserably and he started talking about policy issues that Americans are actually interested in, that he was able to do things like a CNN town hall and do other outlets. But the way he initiated and he crafted his campaign was that of this ultra uber conservative culture warrior, and the only place he could go to sell that was Fox.
Yeah. I do want to note that, I mean, they are scheduling this event tomorrow night in New Hampshire, but I do want to move on to this back and forth between Trump and Nikki Haley. Geraldo, you've known Donald Trump a long time. I'm sure you saw this gaffe where he mistook Nancy Pelosi for Nikki Haley and mixed them up at this campaign event. And now Nikki Haley is questioning whether he's mentally fit to be president. I mean, what do you think? Is this the same old Donald Trump that you've known?
Well, you know, my family, I've got 5 kids, 5 grandkids, 3 dogs. I'm constantly mixing up who's who, the names, you know. So the difference is between a Biden gaffe and a Trump gaffe like that is that Trump is an expert in scorn and ridicule. So Biden makes a mistake. It's cognitive dissonance. He's lost it. He's feeble-minded, you know, and Fox and the conservative echo chamber will pick up on it. When Trump makes a mistake, they kind of It's like his private past. It's like it never happened. Like these criminal indictments, like they never happened. You know, he really is the Teflon Don in many ways. And the fact that he's more exuberant, has more energy than Joe Biden, even though they're in age, they're only a couple of years apart, I think is really very telling, Jim.
Yeah, but Anna, when he is, you know, trying to, I guess, go after Nikki Haley now out on the campaign trail, and he brings up January 6th, and instead of criticizing Nancy Pelosi, is talking about Nikki. I mean, that is, there's something going on there, isn't there?
Listen, if Joe Biden did that, everybody in Fox News, and frankly, even Democrats, would be running up the hill with an ambulance trying to intern him in some sort of old folks home. Here's the thing. Donald Trump says crazy things practically every time he opens up his mouth. This is just the latest one, but it's not the only one. I mean, I've seen clips of him this week talking about windmills and talking about magnets and saying that the banks are going to debank you out of your convictions and your principles. I mean, just absolutely crazy things that make no sense. The difference is that Republicans decide, okay, this is our horse, and we don't care if he is senile, orange, and crazy. We're sticking by him. Whereas Democrats are publicly wringing their hands and clutching their pearls and, you know, having this existential crisis. I don't see it as a problem that Fox News and the right wing criticizes Joe Biden as Sleepy Joe and all the things they say about him. I see it as a problem that Democrats themselves are amplifying that when this is obviously a Joe Biden candidacy that the Democratic Party has. What we have is what we're going to have in all likelihood is Trump versus Biden. So I would say to Democrats, instead of focusing on the flaws of Joe Biden, go look at how old and decrepit Donald Trump looks and make that comparison. At least one of them has a lot of heart and decency, and is not under 91 indictments. I think the Democrats should have a very simple campaign slogan: 81 versus 91. 81 years old versus 91 counts. 81 votes versus 91 counts. That's the choice.